Rachyl Kershaw of Greater Columbus Consulting. For people who own small businesses, I help them become successful and sustainable by helping them focus on their motion and vision and organize their work around achieving that success. The presentation I'm giving today is one that evolved out of a presentation I gave earlier this year with a good friend of mine, Melissa. She's the co-founder of Haven Collective, which is a co-working space over on Riverside Drive. If you or anyone you know needs a co-working space, it's beautiful. I love it there. I first started noticing how universal the issues that businesses of all sizes face when I was working for 13 years at a local e-commerce platform. I started out as a programmer, but through the years, I ran the customer service call center. I worked in risk and fraud, where we decided what e-commerce companies we wanted to board. I talked to banks, both domestically and internationally, about what kinds of e-commerce merchants you can board and maintain successfully. And I've been in board meetings. I've gone through the process of seeking investors. From my point of view, at all those different levels, there's certain fundamental issues at the heart of being a successful business. And my goal is to help small businesses navigate them. So, without further ado, I'm gonna run through 5 mistakes I've seen over and over again and hopefully help you avoid them. Number 1, do a competitive analysis, but don't focus on your competition. Competition's healthy. If you've worked on a formal business plan, hopefully you've done a competitive analysis. You've probably heard of a thing called a SWOT, where you start looking at your strengths and weaknesses versus other people in the market. It can become tunnel vision, where you start paying too much attention to your competition. So I prefer something that's called a radial graph, where you actually listen to your market. You ask your customers what's important to them, and you map your company on those axes versus your competition, and you really focus in on what makes you different. I've got a couple quotes from some titans of industry, if you will. Henry Ford said, "The competitor to be feared is the one who never bothers about you at all, but goes about making his own business better all the time." A little more modern, Jeff Bezos says, "If we can keep our competitors focused on us while we stay focused on the customer, ultimately we'll turn out all right." And then there's a blogger, Josh Lowry. I never heard of him before, but he had a great quote on this too. He said, "When you're competitor focused, where's your energy directed? It's directed towards beating the competition, not on serving your customers." And that's important to remember, which is why I want you to take a couple cautionary notes. Microsoft Zune, that was their focus on the Apple iPod. HP's touchpad, again, trying to be the Apple iPad. These are both on the list of some of the worst product fails ever. And Apple's not somehow perfect, right? Apple Maps tried to get rid of Google Maps in their App Store, and they ended up having to recant and bring it back because that's not their flagship product. That's not their focus. What really counts is that you focus on your business, achieving your goals, your mission, your vision. The competition's just out there to keep you agile. It shouldn't be where you put your attention. Number 2. Thanks. Don't just create fans. So social media is super useful. For a lot of people, they count it at the top of their sales funnel. And for solopreneurs in the audience, which I'm sure there's at least a couple, it's extra dangerous because it literally gives you a shot of dopamine to your brain every time you get a like or a follow. But even big companies focus a little too much on this. They want to increase the top of the sales funnel. But the point is the buyer at the bottom of the sales funnel. And for a lot of companies, the point is actually a repeat buyer. And that takes something a lot harder. Building trust. So, building trust. This means putting up clear policies, your refund policy, your return policy, being clear on whether or not items are in stock, what your delivery timeframes are, thorough, accurate descriptions so people know what they're buying. And then when they do have a question, you have to think about customer service. How are they going to get a hold of you? Chat, phone, email. And then when there's a new person to your site, hopefully you've built some trust and have a channel for hearing from your customers, because you can have awesome customer testimonials that'll convince a new shopper that you are trustworthy. But trust isn't just a one-time get somebody to buy thing. Even after they buy, that trust is super important, because if they are not satisfied with what they got, they can, and hopefully nobody in this room is super familiar, but they can issue a chargeback, which is when they call their bank because they couldn't get satisfaction from you, and the bank not only gives them their original money back, but they also ding the whole channel upline, including you. So Shopify will charge you $15 on top of that full refund amount. So Shopify's exact advice for preventing chargebacks, and I could talk about chargebacks for hours. I'm not going to, but their exact advice is very much in line with what I'm saying. They're saying make sure your contact information's easy to find. Respond to customers quickly if they have any problems. Inform them about your store's policies. Keep them updated through shipping. Use online tracking, delivery confirmation if you can. But the bottom line is, make both buying and any issues they may have, up to and including refunds, really easy on the user. Then you can focus on making a product they never want their money back for. Number 3, if it was never done before, think twice. Innovation is a super buzzword. Everybody wants to innovate. That's how we're supposed to be unique and get ahead in the market. But sometimes that's not a great idea. So think twice. There's some spectacular examples of technology just a little bit before their time. The number one would be Ford Edsel. The E in Edsel actually stood for experimental. That car was super innovative, but it was a little ahead of its time, and it didn't quite work well. And it's on a lot of lists as the number one product failure of all time. Again, proving Apple's not perfect, Apple's Newton message pad is also really high on the list of product fails of all time. It was the first product with handwriting recognition, but it was so buggy, it bombed. Even if your technology is perfectly ready, there's other concerns. Take a minute and think about whether or not you are truly an expert in the area you're trying to innovate. If you're not, get some experts, because there might be regulatory concerns or things within that market that you don't understand. So bottom line, innovation is great, but there's a reason that there's a big rule: fail fast. So test early and often. Ask experts that have knowledge outside of yours, whether there's something you're overlooking, before you invest a lot of time and energy. Put your new technology in front of users quickly and see if they think it's just neat, or if it works so well that they're like, I want to use this every day. Because true innovation is ready for the market, and the market is ready for it. Number 4, don't just be busy. There's a Harvard Business Review article titled "Executives Fail to Execute Strategy Because They're Too Internally Focused." And it includes this statistic. In 2016, it was estimated that 67% of well-formulated strategies failed due to poor execution. As someone running their own business, it is really easy to spend way more than 40 hours a week just with the day-to-day operations and trying to get the next sale. But that's not enough. You have to actually execute strategically. You have to be passionate and know where you're trying to go. You have to be curious. That'll make you able to look at that competition in the right way and just have it urge you to continue thinking new ideas. And most importantly, you need to have a plan. And I could talk for the whole 2-hour event tonight about having a plan, because that's a lot of where I focus, is helping people turn their vision into a plan. But your passion, that drives what success looks like for you. Your what will you do needs to be creative. It needs to be specific. And you need to know exactly what portions of your success it's gonna deliver. And then you need to be super disciplined about measuring. So don't just say, I'm gonna get on social media and find some followers. Say, I'm gonna post 5 times a week, and I'm gonna get 10 new email signups from doing that, at least by the end of month 1. And then measure at the end of month 1. And make sure all those numbers are actually going the way you thought they would, or change your plan. You have to be disciplined, you have to know where you're trying to go, and you have to be willing to change your plan when the numbers don't agree with what you thought they were gonna be. And finally, number 5, money is just a resource. Seriously, everybody here has at least one idea how to make money, that's why you're here. You're also aware you could go drive for Uber, right? Probably, if you're in this room, you've got at least 5 or 6 ideas in your head of how you could make money. And I've got a lot of ideas on how you could save some time or be more efficient in your use of it, but I don't think anyone here has any ideas how to make more of it. It is a finite and limited resource. It is therefore the most valuable one you've got. So trade in the hours that you're spending on things that you're not as efficient at as maybe someone else would be. Pay someone to do that while you focus, because you've got all those metrics that you're tracking and looking at every month, right? Pay someone to make those metrics change for the things that you're not really moving the needle on. And on that note, a business is just a business. I realize it can be completely and utterly all-consuming, and I'm not talking about work-life balance or going to yoga classes, but it's your life. Make time once a year for things like going to the doctor, getting sleep at least once a year. Seriously, if you're not healthy and if you're not making time for what matters, your business can't be healthy either. So again, do a competitive analysis, but do not get tunnel vision focused on your competition. Don't create fans, build trust, build repeat buyers. If it was never done before, think twice, fail fast, and don't just be busy. Have a plan, use your passion to create it, and money's just a resource. I've included some links in the presentation that I think will get emailed out as well. And I've also got business cards over here, and obviously I'll be around for questions later. Thank you very much.